Hi, Miss Ashley here, and I'm doing a cooking video for you. Now this video was inspired by the book that I just read called Duck Soup. Now in this book, Duck was a pretty adventurous chef. I mean, he made a Cracker Barrel cheese and marshmallow soup. He made a red hot chili soup with squash gumbo. He made fish soup with curry and pickled lemon. So he definitely just threw a bunch of stuff into a pot and hope for the best. And that is exactly what we are going to do today. So at home, there's a game that I like to play, and it's called What Do I Got? So the rules of the game is that you have to make supper using whatever you have in your pantry. Now, I developed this game as a student in university because, money was a little tight. I didn't always have fresh ingredients. Usually I had stuff that was in a can. So I learned to adapt, and today I still use it. So we're going to make a vegetable soup because I had some vegetables in my fridge, and we're going to make a vegetable soup. So what I used was I had an onion, which I chopped up in little pieces. I had some cherry tomatoes that I just diced up. I had a sweet potato that I made into nice little square cubes. And I had one carrot that I just sliced. And I found a bag of frozen peas in the freezer. And now for the broth, I had a little carton of chicken stock here. I have a little bit of instant chicken soup mix here. I've got a Lipton chicken noodle soup. This can actually save your soup because it will impart the flavor that you need. So use another soup in your soup to really jazz yours up. That's a good trick there for you. And then you also need to bulk up your soup. So I didn't always have meat available. So you can use legumes. So I'm using lentils, and I'm gonna also use some white kidney beans. So all of this together will make a really good vegetable soup, a la duck soup. So the first thing you have to do after you've chopped everything is you need to put some olive oil into your soup pan, which I've already done. Just gonna turn it on. There we go. You want to get it nice and warm, and then you're going to want to get your little, what is this? It's like a spatula, a little spatula, there we go. And then you're going to want to start to fry up your onions. So your onions go first because these guys need to caramelize, and that way they will impart some flavor. So just getting my oil a little bit heated up. And then I'm going to put my onions directly in. Directly in. You're going to want to stir it around. That way it gets coated with all of the olive oil. Now here's a fun fact for you. If you put a little bit of water into your pan, it will stop the onions from burning because there's a difference between having a nice cooked onion and a burnt onion. You do not want a burnt onion. So just keep your eye on it. You really have to just watch it and then judge. So you want it to get nice and caramelized, but not burnt. So I'm gonna mix this, and when they are properly caramelized, I will be right back. My onions are nice and caramelized, and now it comes time to put your next biggest thing, which is my sweet potato, because these are going to take a little while to soften, so put them in next, and then give these guys a little bit of a stir. And now, remember I told you about the water? Just take a little bit of water in your hand here, and see how it's nice and steamy? So just kind of make sure the onions don't burn. You don't want them to burn. So give them a stir, and this is around the time I like to add some spices to this party. So I'm going to use some of my sweet Hungarian paprika. It goes really well with lentil. Now I'm going going to just use a little teaspoon. I'm going to do maybe about half a teaspoon. I'm going to just toss that in. I'm going to give it a stir. Mix it all around. Like that. And then I'm going to add some ground cumin. And I'm going to add almost a full teaspoon as well. And I'm going to give this a stir. Remember, we want to keep stirring. We don't want this to burn, so keep stirring. Adjust your heat when necessary if you're using a gas. Okay, there we go. And now I'm going to add some ground coriander. And I'm going to put roughly half of a teaspoon in there as well. So when you're doing a vegetable soup, you really want to try to add flavor to it, because vegetables aren't really known for having a lot of flavor as, you know, a roast chicken would. So you can use whatever spices you like. I'm using these since I'm going for more of like a Middle Eastern type of spice. But, you know, you could also use just salt and pepper. Which is what I'm going to do next. I'm going to take my pepper and I'm just going to grind some in here. Remember, adjust accordingly. If you like things a little saltier or a little bit hotter, you know, just go with what you like. I'm putting a little bit of salt in. And there we go. So get them all nice and coated. And now you're going to want to put your carrots in, because carrots are also pretty dense and take a while to soften, so put those guys in next. Now, I like to have my vegetables kind of frying for around 7 minutes before I add my stock in. That way I know that they've kind of broken down. Because I don't like when I have vegetable soup and my vegetables are still really crunchy. It just doesn't really work for me. So personally, I like to fry them for a little bit longer before adding my stock. That way they begin to soften. So I'm going to stand here and stir these vegetables for about another 6 minutes or so. Okay, so it's been about 6 minutes and my vegetables now are a little more soft, and now it's time to add the tomatoes. We're gonna just put the tomatoes in here. Now, there we go. We're gonna stir that around. And so the tomatoes are gonna actually break down, and they're gonna release their juices as they get hot. They're gonna break, and it's going to add some liquid to our vegetables, which we need. Just remember to keep giving it a stir, and just make sure everything gets tossed around. Turn the heat down a little bit. So remember, you want to start with your onions first, get them nice and caramelized, then put in your sweet potato, get that nice and softened, then put your carrots, and then put in your tomatoes. So it's like the hardest thing first, and just kind of work your way down. I'm going to let this stir for about maybe 5 minutes or so, just to get them all. Okay guys, so it's been about 5 minutes now, and my tomatoes are nice and broken down and blistered. So it kind of looks right now like a bunch of orange and red mush, but that's what you want. You see? Like that? There we go. Okay, so now we are ready to add our proteins. So I have already drained the lentils. Use my can opener and just drain them, run some water through it. And I'm just going to put these in. And now I like to stir everything around. I just do things in stages, the way everything gets stirred, all the flavors mixed together. So I'm going to just stir them all. And this is when I like to add some more salt, because I'm introducing something that's new. I'm going to add some salt. Just a couple little shakes. Just like that. And I'm going to again stir everything together. Now you could stop here. If you just wanted to just do a simple lentil soup, you could stop here. I'm going to use the white beans because I think it adds a little bit extra protein and it really does bulk up your soup. So I am going to add my beans that again I have drained and rinsed, and I'm just gonna put them in here. And I am going to give it a stir. Okay. And a little salt. I know it looks like a lot, but it's not because it comes out really slowly, so it's not really a lot of salt. Now again, you know your own taste buds. You know, don't go crazy, but you can always add more, but you can't take it away. So that's a tip for you. It's better to slowly add than to dump it all in and then you have really salty soup, so you don't want to do that. Okay, so that's all nice and mixed together. Turn my heat up a little bit. Okay. So now we have to add the liquid. So I have this little carton of chicken broth, which is really convenient. And I am going to pour it in. Yay! There we go. Okay. I'm just going to give it a stir. Okay. Now here's the thing with soup. When you leave it to cook for a while, you're going to lose volume of liquid. It's going to evaporate. So I like to ensure that I have enough broth in my soup. So I get this guy. And this is just some instant chicken stock mix. You can use a bouillon if you have it. So what I do is I get my little handy dandy teaspoon here and I put 1 and 2 into my soup because this helps to impart some flavor. So I'm going to give it a stir, but then because I added this really like concentrated chicken stock, I'm going to get some water. And I'm going to put about 1.5 cups of water into my soup. So 1.5. There we go. There we go. So that adds some more flavor and liquid to our soup. So I'm going to leave this for about 15 minutes and then I'm going to taste it and I'm going to adjust. Maybe I need to have something else. Maybe I need to add some more spices. I don't know. Really, it's all in the wait and see. You know, a soup, you kind of have to wait and see when the flavors develop and then you can kind of tweak it, which is why I love making soups. Because I feel like I'm a mad scientist. I'm like a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of shaky shaky, and voila! You know, something magical, you know, usually happens. And if it doesn't, like I said, there's always pizza. So that's my backup plan. But anyway, guys, I think this is gonna be really, really good. I'm gonna let it simmer for about 15 minutes, and then I'm gonna come back, and then we can tweak it. So, you wait there. So my soup has been simmering actually for about 20 minutes now, and I had it covered with a lid. Now remember, do not leave a pot unattended. I was sitting right in the kitchen, so I had my eye on it. So you definitely do not want to leave a boiling pot unattended. But it's been simmering away, and I can take the lid off. And now I can adjust accordingly. This is the time when I can add other bits of flavor should the soup need it. Sometimes it will surprise you and be perfect as it is, but other times it needs a little bit of work. So we'll see. We'll see. So we got here, let's see. Okay, this is actually pretty good. It's actually pretty good, and my vegetables are soft, which is why I want to put the lid on, because it will actually make the vegetables soften a bit faster if you cover the pot versus leaving it uncovered, which will just cause your liquid to just evaporate that much faster. So everything actually is pretty good, but for the purposes of this video, I'm going to show you how you can add more flavor to your soup by using another soup. So this is a Lipton chicken noodle soup, just a little packet. Now what's fun about this is that it comes with noodles already built in it. So if you don't have noodles, you use a soup that has them, and then that's that problem solved. So I'm just gonna open it up. Okay, in theory we're gonna open it up. Ah, there you go. There we go. And we're going to just put it in there. Now, I don't have enough liquid in this soup to make up for adding this. So this is where we're gonna go back to our little 1 cup wonder here, and we're gonna add water. So get some water. And I'm gonna add 2 cups. 1, 2, and I will give this a stir. Now, this new addition has to have time to heat up. The noodles have to get nice and soft, and this will add some more flavor, some more dimension to your soup, because like I said, all we have in here is vegetables and white beans and lentils. So by adding this new soup, it kind of gives it a bit more dimension, and it makes your soup a little more luxurious. And it's like, wow, what did you do to this soup to make it so good? And you're like, well, actually, I used another soup. So I'm gonna put this lid back on. I'm gonna leave it for about 5 more minutes. That way my new addition can add its magic. And if I need to, I can add more water or more flavor, depending on what it tastes like after I take my lid off. So again, put it back on, turn up a little bit of the heat, and give it 5 minutes, and don't leave this unattended. So I will see you in 5. Okay, so it's been about 8 minutes or so, and now it's time for me to take my lid off and give it a stir. And it looks like my noodles are nice and cooked. I'll just give it a taste just to make sure. Yep. Yes, they are. Now this is when you can do your final tweaks. So I have a little bag of frozen peas, and I think that this soup could use it. I'm gonna add a little bit of peas to it. Just throw them in there. Just give it a stir. And now I think it could actually use a little bit more water because it is pretty thick. So I'll just use a little bit more water, maybe 1 more cup. Put that in. And there we go. And you need to do the final test. You really have to now taste it and see how it goes. Put that in. That's pretty good. That's actually pretty good. So this is the fun part. You're nearing the end of this long ordeal. You're nearing the end. You have all of your ingredients. Now you can make your little final tweaks. So I'm going to put a little bit more salt in. I'm going to put a little bit more pepper in. There we go. I'm just going to give it a stir. Go. And it's nice because by adding the extra soup in, you have some noodles, and it just makes it a little more filling, a little more comforting, especially when it is like -4 degrees outside. So this is definitely something that is very hearty. Now I'm just gonna plate this up into a bowl, and I will show you what my soup looks like. Okay guys, so the soup is done. And here it is right here. It is plated. I added some crackers. a little bit of parsley, and there is your vegetable soup made entirely of stuff you just happen to have in your fridge or your cupboard at the time. Now remember, people think that you have to have the perfect ingredients to cook, and if you can't, then just don't even bother. But that's not true. Just use what you've got and make a soup, because like duck in duck soup, it will all work out in the end, and if it doesn't, there's always pizza. But thankfully, this soup worked out. I think you're gonna love it. I love it. It tastes really good, and I'm really proud of it because, you know, you do what you can with what you got. So until next time, guys, I hope that you start cooking, I hope you're experimenting, and I hope you like and subscribe to Miss Ashley YouTube channel for more great cooking and books and songs and barking dogs. So take care. Bye-bye.